Welcome to this edition of News Today, a series where we briefly discuss and analyze important news of the day. Without delay, let's explore the headlines first. Standing Committee on Communications and Information Technology has presented Digital Payment and Online Security Measures for Data Protection Report. Rural Employment through MGNREGA and Insight into Wage Rates and Other Matters Relating Thereto report presented in Lok Sabha. Scientists have developed the world's first 3D printed brain tissue that functions like human brain. Digitalization of land records to boost India's GDP by 1.5%, says Minister of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj. LNG to be used as transportation fuel in medium and heavy commercial vehicle, says Niti Aayog report. Standing Committee presented Action Taken report on research and development in farm mechanization for small and marginal farmers in the country. Starting with the first news. Standing Committee on Communications and Information Technology has presented Digital Payment and Online Security Measures for Data Protection report. Let's start by first having a look at the status of digital payment. It is expected to grow over threefold by 2025 due to growing smartphone penetration, COVID-led changes in consumer behavior, and government policies for financial inclusion. Also, share of Unified Payments Interface or UPI transactions increased from 4% in financial year 2017-18 to over 64% in financial year 2022-23. Moreover, foreign entities like PhonePe and Google Pay dominate the Indian fintech sector with market share of 46.91% and 36.39% respectively in terms of transaction volume in October to November 2023, whereas for Bheem UPI it is 0.22%. Further, let's also discuss about some challenges in digital payment. There has been high value of money lost in cyber frauds. Rupees 5,074 crore has been reported up till September 2023, whereas recovery rate is abysmally low. The recovery rate has been about 10.4% of the transactions reported over 2020 to 2022. Also, there are illegal and fraudulent lending apps on Google Play Store and Apple App Store, which further raises the concern. Moreover, there are virtual accounts to mask the funds trail while making payments were not monitored and could easily evade anti-money laundering mechanism. If we talk about the recommendations made by the committee, then these include maintaining a repository of Android and banking malwares to strengthen digital payment security, multi-pronged approach with effective coordination of stakeholders to deal with cyber frauds, and promotion of Indian players in the fintech sector. There have also been taken some steps to promote digital payment like incentive scheme for promotion of RuPay debit cards and Bheem UPI transaction, financial inclusion initiatives like PM Jan Dhan Yojana, and various awareness initiatives like Stay Safe online campaign for adoption of digital payments and Cyber Surakshit Bharat.
Moving on to the next news. Rural employment through MGNREGA and insight into wage rates and other matters relating thereto. Report presented in Lok Sabha. The report was presented by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Rural Development. Let us first understand about Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act or MGNREGA. MGNREGA was launched in 2005, which gives a legal guarantee of 100 days of wage employment to adult members of a rural household willing for unskilled manual work. It is implemented by the Ministry of Rural Development. The central government notifies the wage rate for each financial year. In this report, some issues with the scheme have been observed by the committee. The shortage of funds has a cascading effect on various important aspects such as the timely release of wages and the release of materials. The issue of fake job cards deprives genuine beneficiaries of their dues and acts as a tool for diverting funds. Moreover, the wage rates are low wage. In fact, laborers involved in miscellaneous work earn higher wages. Lastly, the lack of social audits. Only 14% of planned Gram Panchayats were audited in 2020 to 21. Now, let us have a look at the recommendations given by the committee to resolve the issues. Firstly, the revision of base rate and base year can be done to solve the issue of lower wage rates. Utilization of a better inflation-linked index can be done as the current index, that is Consumer Price Index for agricultural labor, is not sufficient. Additionally, there can be an increase in number of days of work. Lastly, a separate job card can be issued for a differently abled person in a household. The Government of India has also taken certain initiatives to increase the efficiency of MGNREGA. The National Mobile Monitoring System app to capture the attendance of MGNREGA workers. GeoMGNREGA for geotagging of all completed works under MGNREGAs. Additionally, Project Unnati to upgrade the skill base of the MGNREGA workers. Lastly, the Aadhaar Payment Bridge System or APBS to ensure speedy payments and reduce rejection.
Moving ahead, scientists have developed world's first 3D printed brain tissue that functions like human brain. This will aid research programs for scientists specially focused on treatments of neurological and neurodevelopmental disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. This could also help to understand how brain cells and parts of the brain communicate in humans. Let's understand first about 3D printing. 3D printing or additive manufacturing uses computer-aided designing to make prototypes or working models of objects by laying down successive layers of materials like plastic, resin, thermoplastic, metal, fiber, or ceramic. In 2020, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology released a national strategy for additive manufacturing to tap its potential. Now let's discuss and understand the benefits of 3D printing. It will enable quick and cost-effective prototyping, allowing designers to iterate designs swiftly, reducing time to market for new products. Also, it will create complex designs that would be challenging to achieve otherwise. It can be proved more efficient as it uses only materials necessary for objects being printed, thus minimizing waste. And lastly, it reduces need for large inventories and streamlines the supply chain by producing parts as needed. Further, let's understand the applications of 3D printing. In construction, India's first 3D printed post office was created in Bengaluru. Also, the first pedestrian bridge was 3D printed in Spain using micro-reinforced concrete. In medical and dental, these applications are used in creating patterns for casting metal dental crowns and manufacturing tools for creating dental aligners.
Moving on to the next news. Digitization of land records to boost India's GDP by 1.5%, says Minister of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj. Let us first start by understanding what is the digitization process. The digitization of land records is the process of transforming physical documents into digital formats. Also, the computerization of land records is completed in 95.08% of villages by providing records of rights. Now, let us understand the significances of digitization. The clear land titles facilitate the supply of capital and credit for agriculture. Moreover, it will help in mitigating the huge pendency of court cases involving land disputes. This will additionally be useful to central and state governments in bringing out land reforms. Lastly, it reduces the interface between citizens and government functionaries and will increase transparency. Moving on, let's talk about the initiatives by the government for improving land digitization. The Digital India Land Records Modernization Program. This initiative has been taken to develop a modern, comprehensive and transparent land record management system. Unique Land Parcel Identification Number or BHU Aadhaar. It provides a 14-digit alphanumeric unique ID that is generated using the longitude and latitude coordinates of a land parcel. Swamitva Scheme. This scheme has been placed to provide a record of rights to village household owners with the issuance of legal ownership cards. Lastly, the National Generic Document Registration System. This initiative has been taken to address the diversity prevailing across states with regard to the registration of documents. The use of emerging technologies like blockchain and Review of Registration Act.
Moving on to the next news. LNG to be used as transportation fuel in medium and heavy commercial vehicle, says Niti Aayog report. It is the outcome of Niti Aayog and the Embassy of Netherlands bilateral cooperation for energy transition and decarbonizing agenda. First, let's know about the liquefied natural gas. Liquefied natural gas or LNG is a clear, colorless, non-toxic liquid that forms when natural gas is cooled to the liquid state at about -162 degrees Celsius for shipping and storage. Now let's understand the need for pushing LNG as transportation fuel. It will help in achieving the target of net zero by 2070 through CO2 emission reduction. Also, it will reduce oil import dependency. Moreover, India's rapidly expanding trucking market is expected to more than quadruple in 2050 from 2022. Additionally, it will contribute to a gas-based economy for achieving a share of natural gas in the primary energy mix to 15% by 2030. If we talk about challenges in the adoption of LNG, then these include high initial cost compared to traditional diesel trucks, lack of availability of LNG retail outlets, and hesitancy in the market. Now let's have a look at the recommendations in the report. First is the demand aggregator for deployment of LNG-based vehicles aiming at cost reduction with higher order volumes. Next are fiscal incentives like bringing LNG under GST, revised depreciation schedules, toll fee exemption and production-linked incentives. Lastly, non-fiscal incentives like preferential right-of-way, eco-labels, priority lane access and fuel cards. Government has also taken some initiatives. These are inclusion of LNG as transport fuel by modifying Central Motor Vehicles Rules 1989 in 2017. Draft LNG policy to increase LNG usage in the transportation and mining sector and allowing retrofitting of the diesel vehicles to LNG-fueled vehicles.
Moving on to the last news for the day. Standing Committee presented Action Taken report on research and development in farm mechanization for small and marginal farmers in the country. Let us first start by understanding the status of farm mechanization. The overall agriculture mechanization level of country is 47%, which is comparatively lower than that of the developing countries like China at 59% and Brazil at 75%. India would take about 25 years to achieve 75 to 80% of mechanization. Now, let us understand the significance of farm mechanization. It increases productivity and ensures judicious use of other inputs like seeds, fertilizers, and natural resources like water and soil nutrients. It also increases efficiency of farm labor and reduces human drudgery and the cost of cultivation. Lastly, it helps in the conversion of uncultivable land to agricultural land through various advanced tilling techniques. The small farm size, capital shortage, inadequate service centers, availability of cheap labor and low cost of labor poses as challenges to the growth of farm mechanization industry. For issues like these, several recommendations have been made by the committee. Mechanization level of 75% should be achieved in a shorter period than 25 years. Additionally, the streamlining testing procedure, training of engineers and testing of farm equipment should be done. Also, the establishment of National Institute of Agricultural Robotics and AI and a Directorate of Engineering will further benefit the cause. Lastly, adding the need for improvement in functioning of custom hiring centers and farm machinery banks by issuing adequate allocation of fund and awareness campaign. Now, let us further discuss the steps taken by government to promote farm mechanization. The Sub-Mission on Agricultural Mechanization or SMAM, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, and lastly, the National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. The place in news for today is Chile with its capital Santiago. It is in news recently as Chile has recorded its deadliest ever wildfire. Talking about its political boundaries, it is a country situated along the western seaboard of South America. It is bounded by Peru and Bolivia to its north, Argentina to its east, and the Pacific Ocean to its west. Talking about its geographical features, its major mountain range is Andes, its highest peak is Ojos del Salado, and its major rivers are Loa, Biobío, and Maipo.
As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. RBI Deputy Governor has cautioned non-banking finance companies on peer-to-peer lending. P2P lending is the practice of lending money through online services that match lenders with borrowers, cutting out the financial institution as the middleman. Rates and terms are set by each website. CRISIL assessment report called Prabhav or Powering a Resilient and Agile Bharat for the Advancement of Visionary Startups was launched by Small Industries Development Bank of India. As per this, Rs 17,534 crore invested in 938 startups under Fund of Funds scheme. Fund of Funds scheme was established in 2016 with a corpus of Rs 10,000 crore to boost Indian startup ecosystem and enable access to domestic capital. Olive Ridley turtles are back on Mangalore beaches. They are smallest and most abundant of all sea turtles found in the world, inhabiting warm waters of Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Oceans. They are best known for their unique mass nesting called Aribada, where thousands of females come together on same beach to lay eggs. Gahir Matha Marine Sanctuary in Odisha is known as the world's largest rookery of sea turtles. Scientists have discovered a new fungus species, Trichoglossum Syam from Thrissur, Kerala. It is named after renowned scientist Syam Viswanath for his contribution to the field of forestry in India. It belongs to the family of Geoglossaceae and is characterized by its club-shaped apothecia in dark shades of black or brown. SpaceX has recently launched NASA's Space Satellite to monitor ocean, atmosphere, and climate. Plankton, aerosol, climate and ocean ecosystem or PACE was placed in Sun synchronous orbit, which means that it will always be synced to the same position relative to the Sun. Kerala is about to launch India's first genomics-based infectious diseases test. It is developed by the IIT-based Haystack Analytics and NIMS Medicity. The Infexen TM is a state-of-the-art targeted next-generation sequencing test. It is designed to detect any bacterial or fungal infection along with detection of relevant antimicrobial resistance genes within 24 hours. NASA has started a series of marathon flights in Asia with DC-8 to improve the models that help forecast and fight air pollution. DC-8 is the world's biggest flying laboratory. DC-8 flies very close to the ground to assess how much pollution is coming from different sources. It is accompanied by a smaller NASA Gulfstream jet whose instruments can create three-dimensional maps of pollutants in the air. Adi Mahotsav 2024 is being organized in New Delhi to showcase the rich diversity of India's tribal heritage. It is an annual national tribal festival organized by the Tribal Cooperative Marketing Development Federation of India Limited or TriFed. It functions under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. TriFed was established in 1987 under Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act 1984. Its objective includes socio-economic development of tribal people by marketing development of tribal products on which lives of tribals depends. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.